Hey guys, it's Konrad Bobilak here, author of Australian Property Finance Made Simple and CEO of Investors Prime Real Estate. And I've got a really cool video for you which explains the process of how you can influence and control the valuation process on your investment property, if you like, or your owner occupied property, and create equity that you haven't had there previously. Now, this process isn't understood by a lot of property investors, and there's a couple of key things that I'm going to be sharing with you which a lot of mortgage brokers are not aware of. I've used this strategy for over a decade. I've created a lot of equity in my properties using this very same system that I otherwise wouldn't get access to. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a really cool bonus, which is access to a home study worth $497. 10 hours of video content online that you can watch at any time you like, with a 265-page manual. So stay tuned to the very end of this video and I'll give you the link that you can access this home study for free, no strings attached. Now, let's talk about the process of controlling the valuation process. Let's pretend, for example, that you have an investment property in Moorabbin. Moorabbin is a suburb in Melbourne. Look, realistically, Moorabbin used to be the arse end of the Bayside, right? It was the cheapest suburb. You know, part of it backed on the airport. But now the median price in Moorabbin is $900,000 for a detached house. It's actually done really well. You know, the biggest part about Moorabbin is that the majority of Moorabbin has been rezoned Bentley, and the rest of it's been bulldozed, and there's brand new houses and townhouses being built all over the place. Regardless of that, let's say you've got an investment property in Moorabbin. How do you then get equity out of your property or increase and control the valuation process which determines the value of your property? Because remember, when you take out a line of credit or a redraw facility against your house or your investment property, okay, the way the banks determine the value of your property is they get an independent valuer to value the property. Now, the valuers don't work for the banks. The valuers have their own external companies, and they have every bank has a recommended list of valuers that they use for a particular area. So the first thing you've got to understand as an investor is this. If you buy an investment property for $900,000 in your personal name, you end up in retail banking, which means anytime you want to revalue your property, the bank triggers the valuation, and they trigger the valuation through a company called Valuation, which is an intermediary between the banks and the valuation companies, which means you can never ever, or even your banker in your bank can never ever pick a specific valuer by name or valuation company. It gets randomly assigned anytime you revalue your property. However, if you buy an investment property in a corporate trustee and a trust, okay, you automatically end up in business banking. Now, when you end up in business banking, not consumer lending, it's a different part of the bank, and the property settles inside the trust, your premium banker or your business banker can then go on the system and actually request a particular valuation company and a valuer by name to value your property. And that's where you want to be. You don't want to buy investment properties. Apart from asset protection and land tax, you don't want to buy investment properties in your own names. You want to be buying properties in corporate trustees and trusts for the purpose of controlling the valuation process, because your premium banker, your business banker can then request a particular company or valuation company to do the valuation on your property. So let's say, for example, you bought a house in Moorabbin, you've had it for a number of years, and you now go to the business banker and you say, listen, I've got this property, I reckon I've got a bit of equity. I've got a loan against the property for $500,000. So I know there's equity in there, but I need to control the valuation process. I need to get the highest possible valuation. Which valuation company do you have on your approved list? And let's say, for example, the banker says to you, you know what, we've got ABC valuations, which obviously is a hypothetical or fictional company, doesn't really exist, okay? But obviously they'll have a list of different valuers. They'll have Harrington White, CBRE, Chartered Kramer, whoever, Optin, and they can choose one, but they can choose them by name. They can't choose it over here. Now, when you get the name of the company that they can choose, let's call it ABC Valuation, before you do that, you need to do your own homework and make sure that you have comparable sales prepared for the valuer. So what you do is, You ring up top 5 real estate agencies and you say this, look, I want to get an appraisal on my investment property in Moorabbin. I'm not thinking of selling, but if the right price or the right buyer comes along, you know it could be an option, but I just want to get it valued. Now remember, agents love valuing your properties. And what you really want is you want them to give you a valuation letter. So what happens is, and this is how agents generally work in the market. Okay, agents really hate when I talk about this. They do what's called high ball, low ball, and then they do the crunch. Okay, so what happens is if you ring up 5 agents, say, look, I've got this house in Moorabbin, I think it's worth, tell me what it's worth. They'll come around, they'll inspect the property, they'll go away, and they'll give you a report on the property, which gives you a range, a price range on the property, as well as comparable sales. And the comparable sales is really what you want. Now, let's say the property is worth $900,000. What will happen to you is if you ring up 5 local agents, let's say you go through main agents, like Ray, White, Hocking, Stewart, most of the time they'll give you the actual price that you're likely to expect, and they'll tell you, look, I'm not going to bullshit you, I'll tell you what the reality of the market is. They're going to say your property is probably between $850 to $950 given the right buyer comes along, which is pretty accurate, so you're going to get a number of opinions for $850 to $950. But if you ring up a lot of the independent guys in the area, a lot of the guys that actually don't have a franchise behind them, they've just got one office, which means they own the office, they've got a lot of pressure on them, they're likely to give you a higher price because they really want your business, okay? So they'll tell you, listen, everyone's moving to Moorabbin. People from Brighton are selling up and moving to Moorabbin. It's the hottest part of Melbourne right now. Should the right buyer come along, we can expect $950 to $1 million, even $1.05 million. And all they're saying is they're giving you the highest possible opinion in the best case scenario just because they want the listing. They want you to give them a 90-day exclusive authority to sell the property. And often with people, and they know the psychology of people, especially with vendors, people are greedy. If you get 5 agents giving you 5 prices and you get one of them giving you a really high price, chances are you're going to go with the one that gives you the highest price. Because why? We want more money for our properties, right? But the reality is the moment you get the listings, they'll try to condition you down. So they highball you. Oh yeah, if the right buyer comes along, yeah, of course if the right buyer comes along, you can get $950 to $1.05 million for your property. Okay? The reality is, the moment you sign exclusive authority with them, they'll start conditioning you down, especially when you do opens for inspection. And this is the kind of stuff they'll say to you. Konrad, this is the feedback we're getting from the market. We've had 6 couples through your property, and a lot of them were saying that, Moorabbin's, not doing so well, the living room is a bit small, blah, blah, blah. We're going to expect about $900,000 for your property, $950. Should we go to auction, we could potentially get even further. So what they do is they start conditioning you down for you to go to auction. But this is irrelevant at this point in time. What you really want is 5 agents to give you a written letter showing you what price you're likely to get for your property. And out of the 5 agents, you choose the highest 3. And more importantly, out of the top 3, you look at all the comparable sales and you choose the highest comparable sales, which are properties that sold in the same area in the last 3 months. So let's say out of the 3, you've got opinions for $950, say $1 million and $1 million, which is I don't know why we're at 1,000, by the way. It should be, let's try that, 1 mil, okay? And then what happens is you request a valuation, you go back to your private banker or premium banker and say, I want to get a valuation on the property. Can you give me the name of the actual valuer and the company? And he'll give you the name of the valuer. It could be ABC Valuations and his name is Bill. You ring up Bill and say, Bill, I want to value my property in Moorabbin. I want to do a private valuation, but I want the format of the valuation to be a pro forma short form valuation, which is exactly the format the banks use for mortgage purposes. Now, Bill will charge you $450, $550 for a valuation, where banks only pay them $150. You meet Bill on site and say, Bill, these are the most important things you can say to a valuer. I'm a long-term buy and hold investor. I'm not planning to sell this property. I'm simply getting a valuation so I can get a line of credit against the property to buy more investment properties. Now, why is that important for a valuer to hear? Because he knows that this valuation is not going to be tested in the market, okay? And you also say, you know what, Bill? I've actually, because I'm an investor and I'm always in the market, I've actually had 3 local agents give me their opinions in writing in terms of what the property is likely to be. And I've also got 3 folders here with comparable sales. So you've basically done the work for him, but you've chosen the higher of the 5. You've chosen the highest opinions, and you give that to the valuer. Now the valuer, remember, valuers do 7 to 10 valuations a day. And if you've done the homework for them and it's legitimate, it's real comparable sales, it's real local agents, they're very likely to be influenced by that valuation. They'll take that information and they're likely to put those comparable sales in their comparable sales and give you the valuation. Then they'll send the valuation to you. The next thing you do is you go back to your banker, your premium banker, your business banker, and say, look, I've got a valuation here. Now the bank can't use that valuation. Okay, so what you do is you want the valuation reassigned to the lender, which means your banker needs to trigger the same valuation with the same lender, but they need to order it internally through their own system. The same valuation is likely to come back because Bill just did that valuation a week ago. Why would he go back and do a different valuation and do independent research where he did the same valuation on your property just a week or 2 ago? And that's how you get the valuation redirected back to the lender. And that's when you can control and influence the valuation process. By using local agents to do majority of the legwork for you, getting the highest opinion, and then presenting that information to the valuer. And then the valuer will give you the actual valuation, which will go to the bank. In fact, in most cases, you'll never see the valuation. Okay, even your banker might not see it. They'll just have the amount that it came in at, and that's how you can increase your line of credit. So that's the best way to control the valuation process. Getting a local agent to do the legwork for you, and it's a good way to establish relationships with local agents. And look, you're not doing them a disservice. I mean, most of the time, they want to do as many appraisals as possible because that's how they build up their business. You don't know, you might be selling the property in 3 to 5 years from now. And guess what? You might use one of those agents to sell your property. So it's really truly a win-win situation for both you and the agent. And that's how that's the system that I've used for over a decade to influence the valuation process on properties and get the local agents to do research for me and get the highest possible valuation, meaning I get the highest possible line of credit. Because remember, the whole name of the game is not just to buy one property. The whole reason you're investing in property is basically to have one property, get a line of credit, get equity out of that property, and use that equity to buy another property. And eventually use that property to buy another property and keep buying properties and leveraging against properties. Absolutely, you got to have a buffer in place and you got to have risk management strategies in place as well, which I talk about in my home study. I hope you liked that presentation, and I hope it gave you a few insights into how you can, in a good way, influence the valuation process. As I mentioned before, I want to give you a free bonus just for staying and watching this video. But before I do, let me ask you a question. Are you interested in learning more about real estate investing? If you are, I want to personally extend an invitation for you and your friends to spend 2 days with myself and other property experts at an up-and-coming event called the Real Estate Investing Fast Track Weekend. Now, these events are held purely in Melbourne. They're very limited because there's only 40 seats available. We actually run them in our head office right here in St Kilda. We've only got a seminar room with 45 seats. That's why we capped the seating at 40 people. At this event, we have a number of property experts that will be speaking over those 2 days. And look, guys, I only run a handful of these per year, and they do book out, and there's a waiting list to get into these events. So if you're serious about building wealth through property, I encourage you to jump online and register your seats. The tickets are actually free. There is no charge for the event. And the most important thing is these events are not only free, but there's nothing you can buy at the event, okay? There's no properties you can buy at the event, and there's nothing you can sign at the event. Next event that we're running, we have Martine Angelique from Director of Savvy Accounting Solutions. Martine will be going through trusts and the advantages of buying properties in trust, corporate trustees versus your own name. She will also talk about self-managed super fund because she's a self-managed super fund expert on how to buy real estate in your self-managed super fund. Cameron Fisher from Changing Places Real Estate and director of buymyplace.com.au. Changing Places Real Estate is a property manager. Cameron himself has been in real estate for over 30 years. He's a registered valuer, and he's also done over 5,000 successful auctions in Melbourne over the last 30 years, which is quite incredible. Wealth of knowledge. He's actually a walking encyclopedia when it comes to real estate and areas to invest in, areas to avoid. We've got Stephen McClutchie from Loans Australia. Stephen McClutchie is probably one of the best mortgage brokers that I've ever worked with. He's done over $1 billion worth of lending to the property investor market. So it's $1,000 million, and that sounds ridiculous, in loans over the last 19 years. He'll be joining myself on stage, and we'll be spending 6 hours, guys, just on finance and how to structure your property portfolio correctly. And obviously we've got Stephen Monner, who's the MC for the day, and he's an investment and property strategist as well. During the event, I'm going to teach you a very simple method of paying off your home loan, your current mortgage, and normally people have a 35 or 30 or 25-year home loan, in 10 years or less. And I'm going to show you how to use the savings to build your own own real estate empire that can replace your income eventually and create a lifestyle that you truly deserve. It's a 2-day event. These events are full on. They start at 9, they go to 6. Right here at the Gainsborough building, which is our head office in St Kilda, in Elmer Road. They do book out quickly. And look, I've divided this event into 2 days. Day 1 is purely education in a classroom environment, and it's all about structuring your property portfolio, and it's all purely finance and accounting. Day 2 is the fun day. We actually take you out of the classroom environment, put you on the bus, and we take you around Melbourne to different suburbs, and we give you a lot of running commentary about different areas to target, areas to avoid, and more importantly, within those suburbs, which properties to target and which properties to avoid. Also, if you want to get more educated about finance, buy my book on bookonfinance.com.au or Amazon, Australian Property Finance Made Simple. It just came out last year. It's information that took me over a decade to accumulate, and it can make a massive difference to you as a property investor. The bonus home study that I talked about at the very beginning, how to get access to it. And literally, this is quite amazing. And when I give this away, people almost go, Konrad, you're crazy for giving away this home study for free with no strings attached. And you know what? It's my home study. I can do whatever I want with it. So this is the format when you log in. It's very simple to use, guys. It's literally 10 hours of the video, and there's a manual that you download, which is 265 pages, containing the entire 380 PowerPoint slides that I use over the 10 hours of education. You know, all you got to do, and it's absolutely free, no strings attached, to access the home study, all you've got to do is click on that link or just scroll down below, click on the link, register your details, and that's it. You've got instant access to 10 hours of contents plus a 265-page manual, no strings attached. I hope you enjoy the video, guys, and I hope you get massive value out of my home study. This is Konrad Bobilak signing out. I'll see you on the inside.